Yo, if there's one thing I love about One Piece, it's the diversity of the character. Yes, diversity of designs and fighting styles, but more than anything, a diversity of beliefs and values. For every Kobe, there's an Akainu. For every Garp, there's an Aokiji. And I love how Oda uses his characters to look at different perspectives in the One Piece world, even if sometimes One Piece fans are too stupid to understand them. And it feels like at this point One Piece has a representative for every single moral designation that you could possibly make. They all over the spectrum. And coming out of Egghead, an arc that was all about the moral conflicts of the characters, I thought what better way to start 2025 than to look at the moral differences between these characters and just get a full scope of the moral spectrum of One Piece. You know those D&D morality charts? You know, they got lawful good and chaotic neutral and all that shit. Yeah, we're gonna do that, but with One Piece characters. I'm sure that I'm gonna have some controversial picks, so if you disagree with me, let me know where you would place certain characters instead in the comments. Yeah, man, let's get into it. Our first category is probably the most simple, lawful good. You know, these are your characters that are just straightforward, by the book, they're honest, they would never do anything honest. Yeah, you already know who I'm picking for this one. The GOAT, the golden boy, my main character, Mr. Honesty himself, Kobe.
Oh my god.
If you ask me, what One Piece character would you say is just 100% good? They don't have an evil bone in their fucking body. It would be Kobe. Kobe is literally the only character in the story with not an ounce of selfishness in his heart. Everything that he does is for the sake of other people, and that's why I love him. I was a little iffy about putting him in lawful at first, simply because, you know, the whole sword thing, they're kind of skating that line, you know? But I would still put him in that category because I still feel like Kobe has a dedication to the system. It's just right now he's very obsessed with making the system better than what it currently is. I would have put Smoker here, but I forgot Smoker was even part of the fucking manga. Where are you? No, but seriously, I think Kobe just fits this designation so much more just because of his benevolence and his sense of duty. And not a duty to the system necessarily, but a duty to people. I always go back to his speech at Marineford because it would have been so easy for Kobe to just go with the flow and do what Akainu said, but Kobe felt like it was his duty, not only as a Marine, but as a person, to protect the lives of these people that were being slaughtered for essentially no reason.
Why are they dying? What are they even fighting for?
Boy, you better.
And that shit took balls. Akainu was finna take that nigga head off. If Shanks would have came 1 second later, Kobe would have been looking like Whitebeard. In fact, Kobe is so principled that it makes some One Piece fans dislike him. Like, you remember that shit with Garp on Hachinosu when Shiryu stabbed him? There were so many people saying fuck Kobe after that chapter, but I loved it. I thought it was really good characterization. Kobe is just such an honest and altruistic person. It wouldn't even make sense for him to not turn around for somebody screaming for help, even if it might be a trap. In fact, I think even if Kobe knew that there was a good chance that this was a trap, he still would have went in to try to save that lady. I think Kobe is such an underrated character. I think he represents something very important in the story of One Piece, and he would beat Smoker in a 1v1. Next, we have neutral good, and for this one, I picked Shanks. I can already hear niggas now. What? You picked the rap for neutral good? Are you crazy? Yeah, it might be controversial, but I can't think of anybody in the story that has been more of a force for good than Shanks. Aside from maybe the revolutionaries. That's why I thought about putting Sabo in this too. But that's more about how I feel about the revolutionaries as a collective. Sabo himself usually ends up being more chaotic than neutral. Like the way Sabo was acting during the reverie, that nigga's kind of a crash out. I understand though, that whole Kuma, I would have crashed too. That man did not deserve that. But I think a lot of people miss how good Shanks is because a lot of Shanks' characterization is very subtle. And there's a lot of indirect characterization that you get from hearing about Shanks from other characters. But whenever we hear from Shanks or about Shanks, he's always in the background doing something for the greater good. Whether it be preventing Kaido from going to Marineford or protecting Elbaf, he's just always doing something good and there's never any ulterior motives. He doesn't do it for the glory or to get more popular. I mean, as far as we know, all of that might change in Elbaf. We don't know what's going on with Shanks too, Banks or whatever. But as far as we know so far, Shanks is just the nicest of nice guys in One Piece. I don't understand how you could hate him unless you're a fan of the fraud. Don't worry, we gonna get to him too. Next, for chaotic good, I got Luffy. I've seen a lot of other people put Luffy in chaotic neutral, and I get that, but how much heroic shit can you do before you can't pull the whole I'm not a hero card? Like, yeah, I'm not a hero. I just go around different countries and saving people the first day I meet them. As selfish and tunnel visioned as Luffy can be, I mean, we all remember Impel Down. He was wildin' in that. That was low-key a big fuck up. But Luffy always places himself as a force for good. He goes out of his way to do good things. The only other person that I even thought about putting here for even a second is Garp. And I think you could even argue that Garp is better for this spot than Luffy.
No way.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a Luffy fanboy and I just believe in his inherent goodness so much. But look at this nigga. How could you say that this is not a good fucking guy? For lawful neutral, I got Kizaru, and after Egghead, how could you disagree with me? We all read Egghead, right? Everybody here read Egghead. If you didn't read Egghead, why the fuck are you here? I mean, stay if you want to, but spoilers. Throughout all of Egghead, Kizaru was the embodiment of I'm just following orders, boss.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
Kizaru's justice was even called unclear justice. It's impossible to track where this nigga's moral compass is at any given time, but one thing you always know, Kizaru is gonna follow orders. And that's what I love so much about Egghead, because Egghead pushed that to its limit. If we push Kizaru into the most fucked up position and give him the most painful orders possible, will he still follow orders? You could tell he was conflicted. Most of us could tell he was conflicted. There was a few of you dumbass niggas out there. The only other person that might fit this designation is pre-time skip Aokiji, but in retrospect, I kind of understand that those weren't his actual morals. It's just after Ohara and everything, he just kind of became apathetic about the whole system. And that's the real difference between him and Kizaru. Kizaru's not apathetic. He's not hiding some deep conflict. The nigga genuinely does not give a fuck about good or evil. I don't even think we've ever heard the words good and evil come out of his mouth. Kizaru just feels like he has no limits, no lines. I mean, the nigga killed his best friend. What else could stop him now? Our next alignment is true neutral. And like the title says, these characters are completely neutral. They're always indifferent to everything, and they really only care about their own self-interest. And sometimes they don't even care about that. And instantly, as soon as I heard that, it came down to two characters, either Mihawk or Vegapunk. I troll Mihawk a lot, but Mihawk is genuinely a cool character to me, and a lot of it has to do with how emotionless he seems basically all the time. Even Zoro talked about that when he was fighting S-Hawk, and he was like, wow, you're more human than the actual real Mihawk. I mean, it's something that Mihawk is very clear about. He really only cares about being able to live peacefully. And to do that, he doesn't care if he has to ally with the world government or he needs to ally with pirates. There are special people that Mihawk has taken an interest in, like Shanks or Zoro or Luffy. But even then, it's not like Mihawk is overly worried about their well-being. In Marineford, Mihawk was about to cut down Luffy and he was not gonna feel bad. Luffy dodged it, but if he didn't, them arms would have been gone. Mihawk was not pulling his punch. Even now, being a part of Cross Guild, Mihawk feels like the most indifferent out of the three of them. It feels like Crocodile and Buggy have these goals for the future, and Mihawk is just kind of there. It's something that he honestly gets clowned about a lot in the One Piece community, but it is interesting how blasé Mihawk can be about something that could be such a big opportunity. It just feels like he genuinely doesn't care. As for Vegapunk, that motherfucker didn't give a damn. Vegapunk is really the type of nigga that in real life would owe a lot of people money, because he'll just go around, he'll take help from anybody. To be honest, I can see why him and Kizaru were best friends. Both of them niggas is straight about the bread and the bread only. I think Vegapunk is one of the most fascinating One Piece characters morally. I made a whole video about Vegapunk just for that reason. Even when Vegapunk was revealing stuff about the Void Century and everything, he still made it a point to say, hey, I don't know about the morality of all this shit here. I'm not picking sides. I'm just letting y'all know what happened. But I still give Vegapunk more points than like Kizaru or Mihawk, because when the rubber came to the road, Vegapunk did at least make a stand to stand up for the people that he cares about, which Kizaru clearly did not do, and I don't even know if Mihawk is capable of doing. Now we have chaotic neutral, and these are the characters that are just not necessarily evil, but just really unreliable. These characters don't really have any malice towards anybody, but if they stand to gain from something, they will throw anybody under the bus to get that gain. At first, this one really had me stumped. I could not think of any One Piece character that fit this designation. And then it hit me. There is only one person that's perfect for this spot, as opposed to all the other spots where I had an honorable mention, somebody that came close or could also fit this. This one, it's It's damn near like this character was made for this moral designation. Nobody even comes close. And it's big news Morgan. Morgan's is such a great representation for the news and pop journalism as a whole because he doesn't care at all about the ethics of journalism or any of that. Normally in manga, when you have a character that's like a news reporter or something, even if they have all these moral flaws, they still have some level of dedication to the truth. Morgan's doesn't have that dedication at fucking all. The only thing he's dedicated to is selling the most papers and making the most chaos. He's not afraid to mix in truth with lies if it makes a more interesting story. I mean, that was part of the whole problem post Egghead, is that Morgan's just went with the story that Luffy kidnapped Vegapunk, even if he knew for a fact that that was probably not true. But hey, it's good news. What are you gonna do? But I kind of still respect Morgan's because he's just his own person. He doesn't fall victim to the influences of the public or the influences of the world government. The world government literally be pulling up on this nigga, telling them, hey, stop putting out that news that's making us look bad. He whooping government agents. Just so he could spread this fake news, he whooping government agents. I gotta respect it a little bit, bro. He's standing on business. Now let's talk about lawful evil. These characters are a lot like lawful good characters in terms of wanting to uphold the system and everything. But whereas lawful good characters want to make the system better and make it good for everyone involved, lawful evil characters are very comfortable with the flaws of the system and will even use the flaws of the system for their own comfort or for their own selfish gain. And when you put it like that, nobody fits this designation more than Green Bull. His whole speech on Wano was just lawful evil incarnate.
Bro, I'm really about to get your pickle chin that boy.
He basically said it straightforward. The fact that people like the people of Wano are considered worthless gives him and people like him inherent worth. And because of that, he seeks to uphold this system that gives him some level of worth. Now, where that comes from has kind of been hinted in Viva cards and stuff. I'm interested to see where that goes. But as of right now, Green Bull is the lawful evil character. I'm struggling to find a character in any series that fits more into the lawful evil category than Green Bull does. I know a lot of people are thinking either Akainu or Lucci, but first of all, Akainu, I don't even really think Akainu has any loyalty to the law. Akainu seems like he's very okay with breaking the law if he feels like it'll get bad people off the streets. And Green Bull might be the same, but Green Bull seems like he's much more of a fan of how the system is run, as opposed to Akainu, who we've seen has a lot of problems with it. Lucci is honestly a lot closer to it than Akainu is. Lucci is a lot like Green Bull in of that he uses the law and being on the side of the law as a way to get his way. And while Lucci does use all these things for his own personal gain, Green Bull feels like he genuinely believes that this is just how it has to be. This is the system that we have and this is as good as it gets. But to be honest, Lucci is really good for this one too, so if you pick Lucci, I'm not mad at you. Our next category is neutral evil, and these are your most selfish, ruthless characters. They won't go out of their way to harm people, but they definitely don't avoid it, and if it will get them ahead, they'll do it and they'll have no feelings against it. They're very willing to betray allies if it gets them ahead, and truthfully, they're just evil for evil's sake. And this is a bit of a special choice because I don't just have one character for this one, I have 5 or 6 now. But yeah, it's the Gorosei. The Gorosei are very interesting to me. Not their fights. Their fights are boring as shit. Except Nasujuro and Jupiter. I might be the only nigga on the planet that loves Jupiter's transformation. I don't know, that shit is cool to me. But as characters, the Gorosei have been very interesting to me ever since Leloucia. When Imu gives the order to destroy Leloucia, you see it on the Gorosei's face. It's not like they're overjoyed about doing this. And to me, this makes the Gorosei very different from the typical One Piece villain, because we all know One Piece villains. They usually got the evil laugh. They take immense amounts of joy from doing damage to people, ruining people's lives, as opposed to the Gorosei, who seem to just view all of this as a means to an end, the end being staying in power. This is why I've kind of been more interested in seeing more of the Gorosei's relationship with Imu, because while Imu is clearly the leader and obviously the strongest out of all of them, the Gorosei still kind of feel like Imu's handlers. Like, I genuinely believe that the Gorosei really view Imu as some kind of deity, and they view it as their job to not only serve him, but to guide him in the right direction. Maybe it's just because they're all old as shit, they give me like royal advisor vibe, like Jafar from Aladdin. But the reason why the Gorosei fit into this category so well to me is just their overall view of the world, which we've gotten more insight on with Saint Saturn and recently with Garland. Like, Garland's whole thing about someone who protects scum is worse than scum or whatever, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They genuinely believe that they have some divine right to rule over the world. They're not doing it out of malice or out of benevolence. They just believe this is the way things need to be. We're the rulers of the world. That's the way it's supposed to be. But let's be honest. If you lived in a castle at the top of the world and your boss was able to make you immortal, you probably would think of yourselves as gods too. So basically what I'm saying is, gross a redemption arc? Now for our final category, we have chaotic evil. Characters like this take joy in being evil. They're the exact kind of One Piece villain that I was talking about before. They love hurting people. They love knowing that they've taken advantage of people. And they're just unpredictable. At any given time, they will do anything to get what they want. And while every other character on this list still has some level of moral fiber, they still have some strange morality that they follow, even if that morality is completely foreign to you or me, chaotic evil characters basically don't have anything. Their belief is just whatever is good for me, that's what's gonna be done. And this was the hardest one to pick a character because, like I said, Oda loves his chaotic evil villains. I went through so many characters: Big Mom, Dofi, Kaido, but when it came down to it, there was really only one One Piece character that kept popping up in my mind: Marshall D. Teach. Blackbeard. If I had to use one word to describe Blackbeard, it would just be selfish. That is a selfish ass nigga. Any nigga that will kill the man who raised him just to get ahead is pure evil. Now, Blackbeard is my favorite One Piece villain by far, and a lot of it is because he represents that core One Piece theme of freedom. A f***ed up, demented version of freedom, but freedom nonetheless. We talked about it earlier. Luffy is also super selfish and super tunnel vision. The difference between Luffy and Blackbeard, though, is that Luffy's moral fiber will prevent him from taking his selfishness too far. Blackbeard has none of that. In fact, we can tell from Blackbeard's demeanor that he enjoys it more when it comes at somebody else's detriment. Like when that nigga was fighting Law, he was having the time of his life beating the shit out of Law. And then just everything Blackbeard has been doing recently on Hachinosu, kidnapping Kobe, kidnapping Garp, even people like Pudding or Gecko Moria. And not the fact that he kidnapped them or kept them locked up. That's normal One Piece shit. But it's how he views these people. He's not even viewing them as people. He's viewing them as stepping stones to getting what he wants. To be honest, Blackbeard would be a great businessman. Put that nigga in charge of a Fortune 500 company, he might make something happen. But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all boys today. Let me know what you think about the morality of One Piece in the comments below, and comment 2025 if you made it to the end. Just confuse all the niggas that didn't make it here. It's the first video of 2025. We gotta start it right. So like the video if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, man, I'm gone.
Damn, I can't forget about them late nights. I'm stuck in the mix, I can't shake right. We come in with Bleach, we gon' play fight. We look for the script like I'm like a can. I stay out the mix, I can't fuck with D-Line. You going for shit, need to fix up these stains. My brother, my trooper, she riding the time.